I hope today to continue the dialogue, building on a bunch of the trends Dimitri talked to you about, by talking about creativity in a constrained space, and starting with a constrained space from 7 years ago. This was the first tweet ever sent on Twitter. It came from Jack Dorsey, and like all the tweets that happened afterwards, it was 140 characters long. Why? Because it, like many of the tweets since then, was sent as an SMS. You had 160 characters for SMS. We took 20 and left them for a username. That left us, as marketers and as users, 140 characters in which to drive emotion in a consumer, get them to take an action we wanted them to take, and achieve our objectives. Think about 140 characters in any other medium. It's really constraining. And what I hope to do today is persuade you that 140 characters on Twitter are different than 140 characters anywhere else. And I hope to do that with, as Nala said earlier, some concrete examples, a little bit of data, that together I hope give you some concrete ideas of things you can do back home once you've left the conference. And we'll start by talking about the interaction and conversation that exists around each one of those little bundles of 140 characters. Turns out there's a lot of it. There are 1 billion tweets being sent every 2.5 days, giving us as marketers great context to connect our brands and our messages into what people care about now. That is being sent by a couple 100 million active users every month, 60% of whom are accessing this platform at least once a month on a mobile device. And as they're doing that, they want to hear from us as marketers at scale. Typical Twitter consumer follows 6 brands, and if they primarily access the platform on mobile, they tend to be more likely to follow almost 12 brands. As they're doing that, they're talking about the things that are interesting to them every day. The people, the interests, the topics. They're also talking about things with commercial intent. They're talking about travel. They're talking about consumer packaged goods. They're talking about automotive, finance, things that each one of us can use as a trigger to go engage with them in conversation. And they're doing it out in public, which gives us the chance to talk with them on equal footing and humanize each one of our brands. We see this is a great platform to disseminate information, whether it's news, like a really direct communication from His Highness about here's what happened at the most recent cabinet meeting, or an individual who happened to have something interesting to share. Stephanie happened to be at the right place at the right time. She was on a commercial airliner over Florida, saw the space shuttle take off, pulled out her mobile phone, tweeted a picture of it. She had a couple 100 followers that day, but because it was really interesting content, this traveled around the world to millions of people in mainstream media in a matter of a few hours. We as brands get to do the same thing. When we put out interesting content, people pass it on at scale. And we can choose to use the conversation from the people with whom we're engaging and our customers in our own creativity. Here are a couple of examples. These took 5 minutes to find. You find these every day. Zena has about 800 followers, and he happened to deliver a message that was totally on brand for Pepsi. He was like, yalla now, let's go, everyone take a smile. Created this picture. Pepsi was then able to retweet that to all of their users. His creativity, they were able to bring forward because he was telling their story as well as they could, and even better for him to do it. Ria has about 500 followers. She's a drama graduate in the UK. She saw Coca-Cola's focus on women's heart health, saw this break in the clouds, took a picture that probably would have cost Coke a lot of money to create. She told their story for them, and they were able to retweet it and pass it on to all their users. Another way you can drive creativity is to create a moment. Adidas in the States said, hey, we're creating brand new uniforms for basketball. While the NBA playoffs are happening right now, this was about the college playoffs in March. They were refreshing all the uniforms and said to an audience that's passionate about their product, retweet these tweets and we'll reveal more. So a few hundred people retweet this, they reveal a little more. A few hundred people retweet that, they reveal more and are able to take 140 characters and turn it into an ongoing engagement with users that were engaging with them over the course of multiple days. And it turns out this works. It works at scale. When you ask users to retweet you, they're 4 times as likely to do it. Now, on this platform, as we saw from Stephanie's space shuttle tweet, we as marketers, we're rewarded for being good, not for being loud. So use this carefully. Don't scream at your customers. Show them interesting content, and when the moment's right, ask them to engage, and they tend to do so. So that's one, the context and conversation around the tweets, around your 140 characters. Second major difference is that on this platform, you get a real-time view of what's interesting to people every day because they're using the platform throughout the day. In fact, mobile primary users are twice as likely to be using Twitter first thing when they get up, last minute before they go to sleep. They're 3 times as likely to be using this platform when they're shopping, which creates a great opportunity for a bunch of us as marketers. We get to connect with them in each of those moments. And because they're using it throughout the day, you see this real-time view sometimes sooner than mainstream media, like happened last month when there was an earthquake here. You saw seconds after it happened, somebody said, hey, I felt an earthquake. As a guy who lives in San Francisco, I identify with this tweet a lot. I've sent a bunch of these myself. Minutes later, you see somebody else saying the same thing. 20 minutes later, you see mainstream media pick it up. It's routine that you see moments happening right now on this platform. Another one happened in the US Super Bowl this year. Lights went out, created an opportunity that marketers didn't know was coming. 200,000 tweets sent every minute during that half-hour blackout. First ad on Twitter took 4 minutes because that team, happened to be the Oreo team, had folks ready to go. They had a strategy in place for the previous weeks where they were taking Oreos and putting them as a picture in different situations. They cut one out in the shape of a bat for Batman. They cut one out in the shape of our bird for our 7th birthday. They had this ready to go, and they tailored it to the moment when the lights went out. Another brand, Audi, had been pitching their light bulbs, their LED lights in their cars as something great. The lights went out. The stadium's named the Mercedes-Benz Superdome, so they poked fun at them in the middle of the Super Bowl, tweeting at them brand to brand, saying, oh, we're sending you some lights to the Superdome. These got a lot of press, but it turns out actually this has been happening for a while. Roll back the clock 9 months, the US NASCAR racing, it's not quite Formula One, but NASCAR racing, in the Daytona 500 race, one of the biggest races of the year, this guy, Brad Keselowski, one of the top drivers, is driving around, big crash, oil spills all over the track, fire, they stop the race for 45 minutes. So what does he do? Like any responsible driver, pulls out his phone, takes a picture, tweets it out. That caused a lot of conversation. People said, do you really have a phone in there with you? It's like, yeah, maybe I do. He'd stopped his car, he took the picture, tremendous conversation around it. A brand saw opportunity in this. Tide is the official cleaning agent of NASCAR. They invested in this sponsorship, and they made the sponsorship work harder for them. Because the next morning, one of their marketers tweeted out this picture from TV saying, hey, look, there's Tide being used to clean up the track. You, our followers, give us a caption for this picture. Give us your idea of what this should be. Totally on message, totally on equity, helping make that existing sponsorship work harder for them. Another thought starter for your creativity, activate events in the real world. Adidas was official sponsor of the Olympics, and there in local venues in the UK, they invited people to come into this booth, take a picture, and tweet it out to the world. And they surprised and delighted more than a couple of fans. We'll play this video and you'll see how it panned out.
TGV!
Yeah!
Oh my god!
Is that right?
Oh my god!
Nice to meet you.
Oh my goodness!
Right, nice to meet you. You alright?
Oh my god.
There you go. The microphone. No, I've got the rubber duck.
You got the rubber duck.
Oh my god!
Can I get in?
Yes!
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
You alright? Should we do some pictures?
The best thing
Oh
ever!
my! Wow.
That was wonderful. Oh my God, I didn't see that coming. Oh my God. Wow. God, yeah. David Beckham, eh?
Right? Amazing. Taking an existing investment, getting so much more out of it. For those handful of people, it was life-changing. For the thousands and millions of people that saw those tweets, it was absolutely brand building, letting their existing investment work harder for them. Adidas did a great job with it. You can use these real-time moments, not just at the top of the funnel in brand building like this, but all the way down at the bottom of the funnel to motivate consumers directly to action. American Express developed a really unique integration that lets people buy products and get discounts directly in tweets. 60 seconds to describe what that looks like.
Presenting Amex Sync on Twitter, where you can get products, offers, and more with your synced American Express card by tweeting special hashtags. Here's how it works. Sync your eligible American Express card with Twitter at sync.americanexpress.com/Twitter. Of course, your account information will be kept private and never be shared. Now, check your Twitter feed for special hashtags from American Express. If you see a great offer you want, simply tweet the hashtag to load it to your synced card. Then shop with your card as you normally would. No need to show your phone or print any coupons. When you make a qualifying purchase, you get an automatic statement credit. And with Amex Sync, you can also tweet to buy some of today's hottest products. Just tweet special product hashtags for the items you want and then confirm your purchase. That's it. Your item will be delivered. It's that easy with Amex Sync on Twitter. To learn more and get started, head over to sync.americanexpress.com/Twitter.
I gotta imagine there are a bunch of products in the room that would benefit from that. No coupon, no code, nothing to print out. Simply tweet, create earned media for your brand, and have a product show up at your door. It's a really creative way to use 140 characters. And as we, as marketers, are putting out that content, you will get real-time feedback. Put out a tweet, a couple minutes later, you'll see, did this content work? You don't have to wait for the next day for ratings or a month later to get a study. You will know in real time every day what content is resonating. This particular dashboard gives you a view about whom it's resonating for. You'll be able to see, did my message engage women more than men? People in UAE more than people in Egypt? People on their iPhone more than people on Android? Did it engage cat lovers more than dog lovers? People who like dramas more than comedies? You can get this kind of insight in real time on the platform every day to help guide your content. And frankly, we've seen some marketers use it to guide their offline content as well, because you get this feedback at scale. We've enabled recently a way for you to use this real-time marketing without deploying an army of people. And that's by recognizing the fact that all of these tweets, they're sent out in public. And so you can use the signals that they create every day. When people tweet out certain words, when they engage with tweets with certain words, you can then say, you know what? Somebody who tweeted out these words, in this example, somebody wants to go on vacation in Mexico, they're my target audience. I want to send them a message. And you can then serve a promoted tweet exactly to users who tweeted those messages or engaged with them and capture those moments as they're happening without having to have anybody watching. You simply need somebody to set it up, and then you can be responsive to the individual consumer in real time with this always-on approach. We call it keyword targeting. So that's the second, this real-time view of intent that this platform provides. Third, hope to talk to you about creativity. Those 140 characters, they can be an envelope into something richer. Over the last year, we've enabled brands, agencies, and publishers to build rich media directly into tweets, and a couple thousand have done so. You can now send a tweet with a picture in it, with a photo gallery, with the familiar tools of sight, sound, and motion in a video, with audio, with a product link. You literally can have a picture of your product, price, description, with a deep link right to your site to go buy the product. You can invite people to download an app or people to see a summary of content, and you can use it to, send beautiful pictures like this one that was sent locally, or to engage with people like two brands decided to do with Lauren, who said, look, I love chocolate. I follow Oreo and Kit Kat. Some entrepreneurial brand manager said, great, let's go compete for her affection with a game of tic-tac-toe. And Oreo responded. These are two completely separate teams. They're not owned by the same parent company. They're simply brands engaging with this on-message, on-brand behavior directly with consumers on this platform. Very brand building. Earlier this year, we took this metaphor of constrained publishing and extended it to video with Vine. Vines are looping 6-second videos that you can easily take with a cell phone. You can distribute them in tweets, and we've seen tremendous creativity out of it. So much so that Robert De Niro, who's one of the co-founders of one of the film festivals in New York, the Tribeca Film Festival, said, 6 seconds, it's actually a long time. You can have the beginning, middle, and end of a story. And they actually created, in this film festival, a sub-festival just for Vines this year. 6-second films. They invited submissions, got 400 of them. This winner was the one for the animate category, and his Vine was about getting rid of a ghost out of your garage. If this guy can be this creative, imagine what your agency can do directly for your brand. We've seen some brands take advantage of this. One of the home improvement chains, Lowe's, saw, hey look, there are almost 1.5 million tweets about home improvement every day. Let's connect to that. Let's create a series of tweets with video in them telling people how to fix small home improvement problems around the house, like when you're trying to screw in a screw that's been stripped and you can't do it anymore. Brilliant hashtag, Lowe's Fix and Six, and they got some tremendously positive feedback on it. Very engaging for the users that followed them, saying, this was really helpful. You also can distribute pictures and put context around it. This picture on its own doesn't mean that much. It's a guy in a room full of stickies. When you have the renowned director Ron Howard then say, actually, this is the return of the popular TV show Arrested Development, we're starting to put it back together, it creates a lot of engagement. It lets you communicate a whole bunch more in 140 characters. And then one of the most creative uses we've ever seen of 140 characters themselves goes back to the 1980s when we saw ASCII art before there was rich graphics. Smart Car in Argentina tweeted a whole bunch of tweets so that when you scrolled through their page, this is what you saw. Just in 140 characters. It goes on for 30 seconds. They go drive the car around, park it, deliver their core brand messages. It was a really creative use of the platform. Our advice to you, think about these as opportunities. Also think about the text of the tweet itself. It makes a big difference. It's kind of like the early days of paid search. When you invite people to engage with you on this platform by asking them a question, they click more often. When you scream at them by putting a ton of exclamation points, they engage less. You're rewarded for being good, not for being loud. And the middle one, that was a surprise to us. We didn't see that one coming. This and about a dozen other recommendations came out of analyzing 600,000 tweets with Topsy, and they're all thought starters. If you did all of them together, your tweet would look terrible. But if you use them as an idea to begin experimentation, you can see what content resonates best, what targeting resonates best, what day of the week resonates best. And we invite you to do that on this platform. The last thought to leave you with is about how 140 characters on Twitter are different, is that this platform, unlike at least any other digital platform I've ever seen, is truly a bridge to your other media, not an island sitting on its own. We would invite you, I believe it's very much best practice for you to take the other media investments that you have and extend them onto Twitter, reflexively. Take that TV spot, extend it onto Twitter. Take that print ad, extend it for free. You'll get more conversation that day. You'll get conversation in the days that follow. And if that goes well for you, you can then choose to amplify it. But you can make your existing investments work harder for you. And you can do it in part because people are engaging all the time. Mobile users, when they see your content, they're 2/3 more likely to retweet it. They're 45%, 44% more likely to click on links. And they're 50% more likely to remember the fact that they saw an ad at all. In the US, we see some behavior that our hypothesis is it is truly global, but that mobile usage creates great opportunity to build those bridges. 85% of the consumers in the US have a cell phone or tablet open in front of them while they're watching TV. And of those that say they access Twitter primarily on mobile, almost 2/3, 64% say, I've got Twitter open in front of me while I'm watching, and 1/4 of them are tweeting about the shows that they're watching right now. The result is a regular, almost EKG of attention. You can see this across TV genres, across times, across geographies. When a show is on, people are tweeting about it. And because this platform is public, we've seen that 95% of the public conversation about the shows on which you're advertising are here on this platform, and that creates opportunity. Opportunity like this one that Target took, where they deliver, we'll see in a minute, an upper funnel message on TV about a Justin Timberlake album they're about to release, and a lower funnel call to action that follows up to that on Twitter directly. You're going to see the call to action for the entire commercial is one hashtag. Right there. That's it. That's the only call to action.
Oh, that's exciting.
Sorry, JT. They invite people to go look on Twitter, and when they did, they saw this picture, building on what people had seen on TV. And in this picture, you could go buy the album directly, and you got the 2 free tracks that came from pre-ordering it, or you could preview some of the songs and listen to them right there in the tweet. Made their TV investment work harder for them by driving the call to action. We saw something similar in print. Yoplait, the yogurt brand, said, hey, I want to connect my brand with fashion. That's my choice as a brand strategy. I'm going to work together with Marie Claire, the fashion magazine, and invite people to tweet out pictures of their most creative fashion moment inspired by their favorite Yoplait flavor. We tell people, follow Yoplait, tweet to us with this hashtag in it. We're going to pick the winner, fly them to New York, have them meet Nina Garcia, the editor of Marie Claire, and give them a spread in the magazine. They took that print sponsorship and made it much more interactive, drove a lot of consumer engagement by extending it onto Twitter. Another example we've seen, first time we've seen this, Mercedes in the UK, on the premiere of X Factor, wanted to advertise the A-Class. Expensive car. They enabled people with the spot we'll see in a second at the beginning of the premiere to steer the commercial by choosing one of these hashtags and tweeting it out. And at the end of the commercial, at the end of the premiere, they showed the commercial people chose. Really creative idea. But did it matter? Turns out it did. Almost 3/4 of the tweets about this show did exactly what Mercedes asked them to do, including one of those hashtags. And when they surveyed people, 1 in 4 raised their hand and said, I want to know more about the A-Class, a really expensive car that they were able to make much more interactive on TV. Last one to leave you with, this brand, Mellow Mushroom, built on the idea of following people, said you follow us, we'll follow you, and they meant it in the real world. So if these bridges to your other media investments work well for you, you can choose to amplify them on this platform. On this platform, that amplification is done with ads. Here on Twitter, ads are not interruptions, they're not separate units, they are purely prominent, targeted placements of the existing consumer experience. And consumers tend to click on them a lot. They tend to click on them 1 to 3% of the time, which is 20, 30, 40 times what we're all used to in traditional display. And we think that's for 2 reasons. One is all these public signals consumers make as they're using the platform about what's interesting to them right now. Not what they said was interesting the day they joined the platform, but the actions they took today that lets our system understand and glean out those interests. Pardon me. And the second one is the ad itself. To turn this tweet into an ad, that's all you do. Consumers can then click on the links, reply to the brand, retweet the tweet. I mean, think about that retweet. When was the last time you saw an ad that was so compelling, you took a picture of it and emailed it to all your friends? It never happens. But on this platform, it happens at scale when people retweet tweets. And so the ad units on this platform enable you to grow your follower base very quickly. Performance driven, you only pay when people follow. They enable you to spark a conversation by appearing at the top of the list for what's trending now. Or they enable you to motivate consumer action at scale by putting tweets in people's timelines. And you can target them using a whole bunch of techniques you're used to when people search, their mobile device, their geo, their gender, and some things that are pretty unique to this platform, like the keyword targeting that we talked about. People tweet, you use those keywords as targeting, like people's interests, like lookalikes. And the early results have been encouraging. 50% increase in purchase intent, 22% increase in message association based on a handful of studies we did. 45% increase in people actually going at the bottom of the funnel and buying products. We'd like to explore this together with you. We'd like to see if we can apply this creativity to help drive business results for you. And my hope is this gave you some concrete ideas. And hopefully it proved to you that 140 characters on Twitter are different than 140 characters anywhere else. Because you get this interaction and conversation, because you get a real-time view of what's interesting to people, because you can use rich media together with it, and because this forms a bridge to your other media. It's not a standalone island. Hopefully this was helpful. If you would like to follow up, we'll be around afterwards. And if you would like to meet, we have a room in the back. Please tweet to Connect Ads, and we'd be happy to set up a discussion with you one-on-one. Thank you very much for the time.